the 7th of August, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura.
Okay. Mitzvah Shem. Good. Okay, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here again at Rabbi Shir Samanashi here in Shlan Kev Zoom. Our second shir in the morning, Mishna Berura. We're learning currently Hilchos Rosh Hashanah, and that will bring us to Tuf Kuf Pei Aleph, if I'm not mistaken. We were left off yesterday. Yeah. Yes. Fine. Yeah, we're in the middle of going back over the Mechaber. Let's just read. Let's read the first part of the first line of the Mechaber, and then we'll start the Mr. Brewers. Okay. Yeah, Mayor, would you like to read first for now?
Okay. So, Mishnah Berura, the first line. The Mishnah Berura, first line. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Okay. So no hagim lakum ba'ashmoret. We're accustomed to get up early, I think. Okay. Desof halayla kadosh ba shat ba'olam hazeh v'hu et ratzon. Okay, so desof what at the end of the night, Hashem, forgot we had this yesterday already.
I'm confused. I thought after it said getting up early, it said Lomar Slichos.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Correct.
So isn't that the end of the night?
Yeah, we get up early at the end of that. We get up early, which means that we're getting up not in the morning, but we're getting up during at the last part of the nighttime.
But where are you reading that did you switch to Mishnah Berura?
Yeah, right. We're starting the Mr. Brewer now, right? Correct.
Okay, I see. Okay, Mishnah Berura.
Right. And the Mr. Brewer gives a bit of a preface to these halachas.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Right.
So let's see. So okay. Well, Shat ba'olam hazeh. I forgot what Shat was. He goes through this world, or
Literally, like shot is like to swim or to float.
oh,
This is only like a symbolic explanation. Obviously, not the to speak about Kodesh Baruch in these ways. We have to try and understand, perhaps, what it actually means. That you could, yeah. What is that? What is it? What does it actually mean that the shut bolam Kodesh Baruch so
maybe his presence is in this world. I mean, we know that.
Right. So why? What meaning? What's the? Well, let's continue. Yeah, let's continue. Well, okay. Well, Ace Rutzon. Who Ace Rutzon? Right.
So it's a good time.
It's a favorable time.
Favorable time. Oh, so that's why we do slichot then. Oh, okay.
But didn't we learn that that's the time that he gets angry?
No, not that's after. That's in the morning time. In the morning time, at the at the time when the malachim, the non-Jewish kings, are serving their avodah zorahs. So that's a cause of anger to Kadosh Baruch.
So this is prior to the morning. This is the before Alas Shachar?
Yes, that is true, correct. Right.
Okay. Uma shehanahagu merosh chodesh she'az ala Moshe b'har Sinai lekabel luchot achronot. Okay, so and this is the practice from Rosh Chodesh. It was then Moshe went up on Har Sinai to receive the last tablets, I guess, literally, or the second set.
Right.
Okay. V'he'aviru shofar b'machaneh. And I guess the shofar was heard throughout the camp.
Correct. That was when it was blown, and therefore all the people heard the server at that time.
Mhm. Okay, so let's see. Moshe Allah Lahar. Moshe went up to the mountain. Okay. Shelo Yitu Od Achar Avodah Zara. Yitu. Let's see, he wouldn't not sure what Yitu is.
That the Shelo Yita, they shouldn't Yita Akrava, they shouldn't mistakenly go after Avodah Zorah another time. So that
Oh,
could
okay. Right. Toeh, yeah. Mistake.
to err, to make a mistake.
Right, right. Okay, so he wouldn't mistake further to go after Avodah Zarah another time. Okay. V'harei eight ratzon. And this is the favorable time.
Yes. Okay. So I mean, repeats this again, right? That he says first of all, Sof Laila Kodesh Baruch Shat Olam Hazeh, Hu Eis Ratzon, number one, right? So that the end of the night, and that I'm not sure if that's every night of at the end of every night of every day of the year, right? I'm not sure if that's or if it only applies during Elul, because it says that he repeats the second, he repeats the Eis Ratzon a second time. Now, and I think that's a special Eis Ratzon during Elul, right?
Okay.
So I think one time it's being the first man, it's an Eis Ratzon. That's meaning every single night it's an Eis Ratzon, meaning in the last hours of the night it's an Eis Ratzon every single night of every single day of the night of the year. But only in Elul you have a double advantage, because in Elul itself is an Eis Ratzon, which you don't necessarily have during every other month of the year.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Okay.
confused by this phraseology of the mistake. That it says that the sound of the shofar was heard in the camp. Moshe went up to the mountain so that he shouldn't make another error.
I mean, Klal, so not that Moshe would make a mistake, that Klal Yisrael shouldn't make a mistake. Yes, but when Moshe Rabbeinu went up the first time to get the Luchos and it delayed coming back, so Klal Yisrael got involved with the mistake that they eventually wound up making the Egel, the Egel. So when Moshe Rabbeinu is now going up a second time, right? Or this is the third time Moshe Rabbeinu is going up. So they were commanded to sound the shofar to give it as a signal, an alarm that the Jewish people should not sin and make a mistake again as they did the first time Moshe Rabbeinu went up.
How's going to help with that?
Excuse me?
How is the sounding of the shofar when he goes up going to help prevent them from making another mistake?
Well, see, we really don't relate so well to the sound of a shofar. We're kind of numbed, uh, uh, lack of true understanding about the power of the shofar to arouse a person um, to to his own particular situation, and we're not in tune with the fear and awe that the shofar is supposed to put into us. First of all, because we live in a time and situations where we're used to loud noises. For example, the Gemara in Brachas says, right, that thunder is supposed to straighten the creases of a person's heart. If a person hears thunder, he's supposed to be frightened enough that the creases of his heart, meaning like the wayward ways, the false ways of thinking and feelings that he has, should be straightened out simply by hearing thunder. Okay, so I mean, I'm not so sure if we relate to that so well either. This one is a, I mean, if you've ever been close to a real thunderclap, yeah, that will sometimes shake a person up. But in a situation, bisman hazeh, where we're used to loud noises, right? In earlier times, it was pretty much silent. It was a silent world. You didn't have machinery, you didn't have airplanes, you didn't have sonic booms, uh, all kinds of different things, even construction going on, all kinds of cars going by, buses, trucks. The amount of decibels that we live in and with in our time is greatly higher than what they used to live even just 100 years ago, right? Before the advent of the industrial revolution, you didn't have machinery, you didn't have all these things, steam engines and other things that make a lot of noise, right? But so the world was basically a silent world. Um, the If you remember, there's a Gemara in Chagigi, if I'm not mistaken, that on Holomoid, they made a prohibition. They outlawed the anvil of the blacksmith to be sounded in Yerushalayim, because the pounding of the anvil of the blacksmith's hammer, mallets, the iron banging on the iron would be too disturbing for a person. So therefore, they wanted quiet in Yerushalayim. So therefore, they prohibited the the blacksmiths from using their anvils on Chol Hamoed, so they could be quiet in Yerushalayim to enjoy the Chol Hamoed. So, I mean, if you heard an anvil being banged, you probably wouldn't give too much thought to it. Wouldn't be too distracting from you, right? The fact that you don't hear these things, but you've heard something else, you hear loud noises, you're not so distracted. Even like the Gemara says, the thunder is supposed to straighten out the creases of a person's heart. But we're not affected by thunder that much more these days because we're living around high decibel sounds that it doesn't really make a real impression that it's supposed to. But when a person would hear a shofar, like I don't know if you remember, if I know I was here. I don't know where you were during. This was about. I'll tell you. This was about 33, 34 years ago when they had the Gulf War. So the air raid sirens were going off pretty frequently, and so when you would hear that, like that would really cause you to sit up and think about your life very seriously because you knew that there could be something very seriously that could interrupt your life uh, coming down at you at a few thousand miles a second, perhaps. So, yeah, I mean, if a person lives in those places where they have the air raid frequency. So they're living with these things. So when they hear a siren, they're really shooken up by a siren. A chauffeur is supposed to be a siren. That's what that was. The call of the chauffeur, the sound of the chauffeur was to be a siren for people, to wake people up, to get them to pay attention. It was like a sounding of any, fire alarm. I remember I was in a certain hotel, and in the middle of, I don't know why they did it, was such a crazy thing. They sounded the attack um, siren. That since they lived in the hotels in a certain area, which is a little bit on the borderline between them and the enemies of Klal Yisrael. So they had to take certain precautions against the enemy. So they would have certain various tests of, right. So we were sleeping. I was sleeping, so it was a pretty kind of an abrupt end to my sleep. And I'll give you another example. I remember once I had to go to renew um, some passports at the American consulate here in Yerushalayim, maybe to get a couple of birth certificates for my children when they were young. So we were sitting in the waiting room lobby of the consulate, waiting for the tellers to call our number. So all of a sudden, the attack siren goes off. Right? The attack siren goes off. So you can just imagine what kind of a sound that was. That how the American consulate has to prepare for a nuclear attack or some terrorist attack, and so it sent people running. Then after the siren went off, it came on a loudspeaker that this is a test. It's only a test. Maybe you remember watching television. I grew up with the television. What could I do? I remember, this is a test of the civil defense. The early warnings, I forgot what it was called. Remember what that was called, Mayor? The early warning civil defense system.
Yeah, they would put a I don't know, some sort of symbol on the screen with a 30-second sound, like
Yes, right.
like that.
That was like it was sort of like a bullseye, like so, like
Right, right.
Yeah, I remember
so,
that.
yeah. I remember in elementary school, they used to have air raid um, drills that you'd have to
Yep.
go out, you have to go hide underneath the desk, right? Or you have to go out into the hallway and hold your hands behind your head, stand up straight against the wall, and we have to. Then they had bomb shelters also. They were worried about nuclear attacks. Oh, that's something we missed in Prague. I didn't have a chance to see that. We were in Prague last week. I was interested in seeing. We didn't have enough time to go see it, but they have actually. You can go on a tour of a Soviet atomic bomb shelter there. They built them in Prague.
Oh,
So I
really?
didn't. That was one of the things I didn't have a chance to do. But
Wow.
so when these kind of sirens goes off, people wake up and they take pension it. It puts as thunder's supposed to do. It takes the creases out of a person's heart. That's
Hmm.
what it's designed to do. So, but again, as I said, we kind of desensitized to these things. But that's what the chauffeur is designed to do. Yeah. So blowing the shofar is a when the Moshe Rabbeinu went up for this Lucas Shnees, the third time Moshe Rabbeinu ascended Har Sinai, and he was going to get the second Luchos. The command was to blow the shofar as Moshe Rabbeinu was going up, and that was to make an announcement to everybody. Look, you blew it the first time. You made a mistake the first time. You have a second chance. Don't make the same mistake twice. And it was supposed to make a very big impression upon people.
Right.
Yes, so that's why we relate to this a little bit differently than the ancients did, and maybe not even so ancients, even like I say, even up to maybe 100 years ago, to 150 years ago. and he didn't have all the industrial noises that we live with in our time.
Right.
You know, we hear fire trucks going by or police cars going by, ambulances going by. You know, they're loud noises, but we don't really relate to it as being a loud noise because it's very common. I know for example, I know in New York City, the fire trucks are always on patrol. There's so many fires in New York City that the fire trucks are only on patrol. They don't bother to stay in the firehouse because it wastes too much time and trouble to get in and out of the truck. So they just have them patrolling the streets. You know,
Wow.
yeah, and it's the way it
Yes.
is. Yeah, that's the way it is. So yeah.
Well, maybe we could sort of do the. I know it's 10:30, but the sentence
Yeah.
is very important. It seems like it's related to this.
Sure, let's just do it on the line. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So it says V'ika asmachta mikra anila dodi v'dodi li rashi tevot elu.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
So maybe that's why this time is emphasized more than maybe the rest of the year.
Yeah, Elul is a very special time. It's a time when the Kadosh Baruch Hu is, so to speak, drawing close to his people, Klal Yisrael, for our benefit, right? First of all, to judge us on Rosh Hashanah, to judge us, and hopefully we learn and take the lesson to heart that Hashem is interested in our welfare and benefiting us. That's why we're given a chance to prepare for the whole month of Elul, and then also Yom Kippur. Like when we blow the shofar Yom Kippur at Nila time. One of the reasons we blow the shofar at Nila time on Rosh Hashanah on Yom Kippur is to show the Sila Kaskina. The Shekhinah is now going and returning to its, so to speak, its place high in the higher heavens, rather than here in this mundane world of earth. But it's been with us. It's beginning from Elul. It's drawing closer to us, and we're drawing closer to it. And it reaches a climax at Rosh Hashanah and continues on through Yom Kippur. And at the end of Yom Kippur, after Nila is concluded, we blow the shofar. As one of the reasons we blow the shofar, as I mentioned, is there's a signal that the Shekhinah is in fact now leaving us. Again, the Kodesh Baruch Hu is always with us. We can always implore and beseech and draw close to Kodesh Baruch Hu. But during these times, between Elul, Rosh Hashanah, the 10 days Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Hashem is especially close to us, and it was especially easy for us to draw close to Kodesh Baruch Hu. As the Hasidim say, it says the Melech is in the field. Melech Basada, the Melech is leaving his palace, and the Melech is now visiting the common people in the fields of his kingdom. So we have a chance to draw close and have a direct relationship that we can't normally have with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, just like a king. And if he's normally in his palace, a person doesn't have access to the king. But if the king takes a trip and he's in the Sauda, he's in the fields, so then the common people also can have a association with the king. So that's sort of a little bit what's happening during this month of Elul and the days of Rosh Hashanah and those 10 days up to and including Yom Kippur. Fine, very good, Mitzvah Shem.
Yes, Shekayach.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Lou.
Hey,
See you
Rabbi.
tomorrow. Yes.
Yasher Kochach, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Have a good day.
Thank
All
you
right.
too, man. Thank you. Very good.